So for a 24 episode series, I actually have very little to say when it comes to A3. A3 is simply adapting a mobile game where you collect pretty boys into a series about said pretty boys. So you can probably guess what the intended audience and the strengths of the series are, without me telling you. But that would make a pretty boring review, so let's get to it. The basis of the series is that a lady filling in as the game's player character gets a letter from her father saying, "I got isekai to another series, I can't run the theater house, can you go and check on it?" She finds said theater house in a state of disrepair, about to be torn down, as the current manager can't pay back the loans as he only has like one troupe member. She takes it upon herself to save the theater and makes a deal with the loan holder that she will create 4 subgroups who will do 4 plays that will do well enough to pay back the loan, thus starting her quest to gather the sacred 20 anime pretty boys with emotional baggage to fill out her roster. The series then dedicates each half of the season to one of the 4 groups, from formation to the final show of their play. Let's go over each of these said groups. The Spring Troupe is saddled with establishing the theater house and the mode of operandi for the series. In this group, we got Free Space Spies, Stalker Spies, Playwright Spies, Gamer Spies, and Foreign Spies. The arc for this group is them putting aside their differences and finding the passion to step up to the plate and perform. Of the 5, only Free Space Spies and Stalker Spies get dedicated arcs, with Playwright and Gamer Spies getting minor arcs, and Foreign Spies getting jack-on development, starting the trend that at least one cast member in each group gets shafted when it comes to development. Next is the Summer Troupe. It mainly centers around the core story of Actor Spies, going from a prideful actor who thinks he's better than everyone to recognizing his fault and learning he needs the help of others. His fellow troupe members are Shy Spies, Outgoing Spies, and Let Men Wear Skirts Already Spies. All of them get minor arcs dealing with their baggage, and the only one who doesn't get an arc being Crazy Triangle Spice. For the Autumn Troupe, we got the rivalry between Punk Spice and Serious Spice, as Punk Spice has to learn humility as he thinks he can coast on his base skills, with Serious Spice blowing him out of the way with just his pure passion for theater. This being assisted by Redeemed Spice, Background Spice, and Cooking Spice. This set is my favorite, as everyone gets some development. Finally, we get the Winter Troupe, that has to face off with the evil theater company who try to manipulate Background Spice to turn traitor in the last set. But they also deal with more supernatural elements, which are rather weird and a bit out of place. But this group has confidence issue spies, overbearing spies, poet spice, amnesia spice, and fake playboy spice, with the later 2 both getting shafted for development as they hard focus on confidence issue spice and overbearing spice and their past together. But this ends like all the other parts with a happy ever after. All emotional baggage is dealt with, the loan is paid off, and the evil theater company is sent packing swearing revenge. But again, the story was never the point of the series. It's good that it's fine, but the point of this series was to show off the 20 pretty boys for the audience to fawn over in the hopes that one of these pretty boys was so pretty that it would send you down the rabbit hole. This is a series made for a female audience in mind, to either fawn over the boys or to arm the BL Armada with fresh ships. This is of course fine and valid, but I don't find myself part of this group. I can respect the hustle, but none of these pretty boys can do much for me. And frankly, unless this series can get me drunk enough and shower me with modest praise for about an hour or 2, I doubt they will anytime soon. So if you're looking for pretty boys doing a hobby, then here you go. But otherwise, it will be pretty average. Good enough to say that, yeah, it was fine, but not enough to stick with you unless you're a theater kid. Now let's add Hypnosis Mic into the spice rack of a review and pile on the pretty boys. Before I start, I will say that I'm aware that Hypnosis Mic is a big media conglomerate with a lot of outside research to go over before I even entered the series. I checked out none of this, so if you want to see a review from a perspective of an actual fan, check out Odapol's review of it. I put it in the card. But let me lay out my perspective. In a world where a group of women called the Party of Words overthrow the Japanese government and outlaw conventional weaponry and replace them with hypnosis mics, these microphones having the power to turn what is said into them into visuals that can be used to convince the victim/opponent into thinking they're being attacked by the said words or visuals. The group turns the city into paradise for women and kicking out any of the men, mainly just to give us an excuse to pack a stadium of women into one city for our pretty boys to woo when they do their raps. As frankly, there's really no other reason, at least based off this anime, as the 2 leaders are very bland. Vaguely evil and scheming with no real substance besides their dominatrix energy, but all the prefectures of Japan have been broken up and thrown into chaos as the men form rap groups to fight for power. Except the chaos must be happening off screen, as boy, those cities look fairly normal. The series follows 4 different groups of said boys, led by one member from a legendary group that massively broke up before the start of the series. The 4 are the Buster Bros, Mad Trigger Crew, Fleeing Posse, and Matanero. 8 episodes are dedicated to establishing the characters of each group and their bid to winning the said tourney. as well as have them do one-sided raps at some jobbers. The last 5 episodes are dedicated to them doing the actual rap battles, and escaping a harebrained scheme, and beating the 5th secret rap group, and returning to the status quo. Again, this is another series trying to get you down the rabbit hole, and if you like pretty men and rap, then maybe this would work for you. Otherwise, it's average, and the rap battles feel a bit uneven, as some rappers have magical abilities, and others don't, or weren't shown to have them. But before I leave, I gotta list out the spices for the quality comedy. First up is Iguro's Buster Bros with Big Bro Spice, Fake Sporty Spice, and Hacker Spice. Their whole gimmick is that they are brothers, and they're easily my least favorite, because all they really rap out is that, yeah, we're brothers, yeah, our bond, because we're brothers, yeah. Next is Yokohama's Mad Trick Crew with Gangster Spice, Detective Spice, and Army Spice, which is a much better group as they actually have, goals and ambition. Gangster Spice had a falling out with his sister who's now with the villains. Army Spice was the Free Superior Officer arrested by the villains. Who would have thought that giving motives would actually make, actual characters you want to see, do stuff. Next up is Shibuya's Fleeing Posse with Cutie Spice, Gambler Spice, and Old Timey Poet Spice. They're fine. Cutie Spice is the only one who actually really develops, as she's a pseudo-antagonist, but they're fine. Lastly, there's Shinjuku's Matanero with Dr. Spice, Bipolar Playboy Spice, and Depressed by their Corporate Overlords and the State of Capitalism Spice. Points if you can guess who the fan favorite is. This group's my second favorite. As you know, they actually have goals as well, as Dr. Spice is looking into an accident that left his young ward stuck in a coma, and the other two are hoping to prove that their friendship with Dr. Spice isn't holding him back. But if I had to say which of these 2 Spice racks you should indulge in, I would say go with A3's rack.